Shalom, shalom. First and foremost, I'd like to give all praises, glory, and honor to Yahweh, Ba'ashem, Yahabushai, Ba'ashem, Rakakadash. Double honors to the apostles and elders of Great Millstone for teaching us His truth, and salutations to the sincere Akim and Aqua that may listen. May the blessing of election be your house. My name is Brother Raquai. I'm back in here with a short, hopefully an edifying lesson. So today's lesson is going to be a bit of an exhortation of something that I personally went through, of my journey of, how I was, prior to the truth, and then, and in comparison to now, right? And it was an inspiration that I heard from Apostle Gabar years ago, and it's making peace with our fathers, right? And, hopefully this, the outcome of this lesson is also a faith booster, for you brothers and few sisters that may listen. And so, without further ado, I personally, I did not have, a very good relationship with my father, like most of us Israelites, especially like, from the islands, because, a lot of our families are absolutely broken, right? And it was one of the things that personally really, bothered me, in the truth, right? So eventually, after years on cultivating those new habits and being transformed in the renewal of my mind, I was able to, have a more stable, a more functioning relationship with my father, right? So, anyways, I'm just going to grab a couple precepts and, hopefully, this can be an edifying lesson. So, well, the first one I mentioned earlier is, where is it? So this is Romans 12, verse 2, and it reads, "Be not conformed to this world, but be ye transformed by the renewing of your mind, that ye may prove what is good and acceptable and perfect, the will of the Most High Yahweh." Right? So, one of the things that we learn eventually coming into the truth is that, we have to put off a lot of those unprofitable ways, right? Because a lot of us came out of that that like black culture, for example, right? So-called black culture, and really and truly it's just dead, right? Because it's nothing that edifies and actually builds our people to be more upright, to be more wise, to be more pleasing to the sight of Yahweh Bashim Yahushai, right? So this is one of the precepts I wanted to bring out because, in the relationship with my father now, so just a little context of what happened. Recently, I had written a letter to my father, and, I just, outlined a couple points, checked in, hey, how's it going? How's your health? Do you need any supplements? Can I help you in any sort of way? Right? And I just received his letter like a few days ago, and I was just checking in, to be honest, right? Because he's old, he lives in the islands, so I can't really go see him like like I probably would like to, and then he wrote back to me. And then I opened up the letter, right? And and then there was $1,000, inside of the letter, right? You put a lot of money into the letter, but I didn't. But when I wrote to him, it was just a place of being sincere, checking in, see how he's doing, and then just making sure that he's okay, right? The scriptures say, honor your father and your mother, right? And and that was, and that really, when I saw that, it made me a little emotional because I'm thinking, my goodness, wow, this is such a blessing, this is, it feels like, it just made me emotional, right? And hopefully this video can be very edifying, to you brothers and few sisters, and come to terms that, this exact situation of what happened to me may not be what happens to you, but if you compare it to a relationship that's been very, very terrible prior to you coming into the truth, and you working on yourself to become more upright, eventually putting off those old ways, you become more pleasing to the Lord. And this is the kind of feedback that you get, because it's such a wonderful thing. The Most High through His Son Yahweh Shai it's such a wonderful physician, right? So so that's kind of the end of the story. But as a matter of fact, let's grab some more precepts. Okay, it's First Peter's 4? Okay, First Peter's 4, verse 7, points and 8. So it reads, "But at the end of all things it is at hand. Be ye therefore sober, and watch unto prayer." Right? So sober being clear-minded, and clearing your mind from these ways of Babylon. Verse 8, "And above all things, have fervent charity amongst yourselves, for charity covered a multitude of sins," right? Verse 9, "Use hospitality to one another without grudging," right? So it's just something that we do. This is part of our character of being more pleasing to Yahweh Bash and Yahweh Shai. How we be amongst our brothers instead of grudging with one another, right? And if your family is in, if you're one of those brothers or few sisters who have that, you're close to your parents, and that's part of your lot, in whatever ways, it's good to help them, right? It's really good to help them, right? Even though they might scoff at you, they may not like what you're a part of, and so on and so forth, right? But checking in, just hey, how you doing? Having a phone call, just having like a bit of a decent relationship, right? It's that's just you being more pleasing to the Lord, as well as that's you also storing up those heavenly treasures, right? Because we don't have any physical treasures here, on earth, right? Let's get see if Matthew is 18. Actually, let's start at 19. And this is Matthew chapter 6, verse 19. "And Yahweh Shai said, Lay not up yourselves treasures upon earth, where moth and rust doth corrupt, where thieves break through and steal." Verse 20, "Lay up for yourselves treasure in heaven, where neither moth nor rust doth corrupt, where thieves do not break through and steal." Right? So these are part of our heavenly treasures, right? The things that we do, with the grace period that we have, that was given to us by Yahweh Shai, right? And this is all part of these, heavenly treasures, how we treat, one another with the brothers, how we conduct ourselves, amidst of our daily lives, and so on and so forth, spreading this word as much as we can. These are all part of these heavenly treasures that is spoken of, right? This is part of the charity, right? And charity is not just limited to something as conventional as as money, like the churches like to think. It could also be having, it could be a phone call, or some time, things like that, right? Verse 21, "For where your treasure is, your there will your heart be also." So your mind would also be there, right? So let's get Tobit. Is it 7? Okay, so this is Tobit chapter 4, verse 7. And it reads, Give alms of thy substance, and when thou givest alms, let not thine eye be envious, neither turn thy face away from any poor, and the face of the Most High shall not turn away from thee. Right? So, don't turn your eye away if you have the ability to actually, help out, your close family, whoever they may be, that's within your circle, that's within your lot, do your best to actually try and help them. Right? This is exemplifying that character, right? Being renewed. Verse 8, if thou hast abundance, give alms accordingly. But if thou have but a little, be not afraid to give according to that little. Right? And that's that reminds me of there's an account, I think it's in Mark or Matthew, I believe it's Mark, where the woman, they were casting I think coins into the well, and all the rich people were casting so much, but I think that the woman had like 2 mites and a farthing, like very, very little amount of money, and then she cast all that she had. Right? It just shows the immense amount of faith that that she had, and how should I call the disciple. As a matter of fact, let me just see if I can find that before I ramble on too much and butcher it. I think it's Mark 12. Let's try 41. Okay, yeah, this is the account. Okay, so this is Mark 12, verse 41. And Yahushua sat against the treasury and beheld how the people cast money into the treasury, and many that were rich cast in much. Verse 42, there came a certain poor widow, and she threw in 2 mites, which make a farthing. Verse 43, and he called him to his disciples and said unto them, Yahushua speaking, verily I say unto you, the poor widow hath cast more in than all they that have cast into the treasury. For all they cast from their abundance, but she of her want did cast in all she had, even all her living. Right? So she gave in all she had. So it just shows that she had an immense amount of faith that all those riches would be eventually, when she would be received, and she'd be well taken care of. Right? So anyways, as a matter of fact, let's go back to Tobit if I missed anything. Oh, the points in actually, matter of fact, let me just finish up these last 2. Verse 9, and it reads, for thou layest up a good treasure for thyself against the day of necessity. Right? And these are the times, in times to come, eventually, when things start to get worse and the society starts to crumble. These are the riches, the spiritual riches we're gonna need. Right? We're gonna need that covering. We're gonna need to be able to pull those riches out and withdraw them, like the apostles normally say. Verse 10, and it reads, because that alms do deliver from death, and suffer not to come unto darkness. Right? So anyways, that's about it, and that concludes the end of my lesson. Hopefully this video really and truly is edifying, and hopefully this is something that can truly boost your faith, because I was one of those individuals that had a rocky relationship with my folks, and it's a lot smoother, and hopefully this can be a comfort to you brothers and sisters that may listen. So with that being said, I'd just like to give all praises, glory, and honor to Yahweh, Ba'ashem Yahushai, Ba'ashem Rakakadash. Double honors to the apostles and elders of Great Millstone for teaching us his truth. Until next time, I say Shalom.